Public relations, a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between clubs, their members, and the public. The PR for Success is designed to help you do that, with impact and towards excellence. One masterclass a month, each focused on a different aspect of public relations and geared towards immediate implementation of skills, with a WhatsApp group that provides a supportive space. Some of the things that you will learn are the power of the Toastmasters brand and effective use of the PR toolkit. What about designing ads that wow? And creating and implementing a social media plan with effective use of the media. The PR for Success program, designed for VPPRs but open to all members and designed to help you take your PR skills to the next level. Are you ready?
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters from across Southern Africa and the world. It's so lovely to see so many of you here tonight at our very first masterclass for 2021 in this PR for Success. PR for Success is aimed at VPPRs and anyone who wants to learn about public relations within the Toastmasters context. The program kicked off in July as we spoke about the Toastmasters brand and the importance of upholding it, especially in our communication. We then moved on to talk about planning for success in August and the importance of not only having a public relations plan, but tracking its performance. In September, we spoke about how to use personal stories to sell the benefits of Toastmasters. October was equally exciting as we spoke about how to create awareness about your club in your community. November, we rounded off the program in 2020 speaking about social media and how to use it effectively for maximum impact. And then it was 2021. Whilst it's a new year, for us as Toastmasters, it marks the second half of the Toastmasters year. And at District 74, we are striving for progress, as many clubs, including yours, will be striving to achieve distinguished status or more. But the reality, Toastmasters, is that membership retention and attracting new members remains a development area in District 74. And so we would like to do our bit to assist you to be able to overcome that challenge so that you are able to attract members and retain your current members. But did you know that one of the key elements in selling anything is what you say to that perspective? Toastmasters is no different. If you would like to be able to effectively sell Toastmasters, you need to get your messaging right. Tonight, we're going to talk about effective messaging. In fact, a practical guide in effective messaging to sell Toastmasters. I'm very excited about this one. It's a jam-packed program. So let's get started. Please join me in welcoming onto the virtual stage our resident host. She is Area S4 Director and the PR for Success Program Developer, Zakia Ismail. Over to you, Zakia.
Thank you so much. Oh, I get an applause, yay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Masterclass 6, Effective Messaging. It's all about the words, as Maud said. We've got an amazing panel this evening, and I'm going to just introduce our first facilitator, who is then going to handle the rest of our facilitators. Some of you would remember that at Masterclass 2, we had an awesome session with JP, who just boggled our minds with so much. And we promised, yes, we did. You asked, and we agreed, and we promised to bring him back. And that's how we're kicking off 2021 with Masterclass 6. I'd like to call upon JP, who's going to take over, and he'll introduce our other two amazing and awesome facilitators, Lucinda and Joanne, as soon as he's ready to call them on. So, fellow Toastmasters, I give you JPDTM Masterclass 6 Effective Messaging. Over to you, JP.
Thank you very much, Zakia, and welcome to everybody. I'm going to start with a little bit of setting the scene and going back to some of the key things that I shared in Masterclass number 2, where we looked at quite a bit at marketing specifically, but today I just want to draw on some of the elements that I shared in that masterclass that will help us with effective messaging. So let's go through those points. One of the things that, and just by the way, if you did not attend this masterclass, at some point go onto our YouTube channel, the District 74 YouTube channel, and go and have a look at this and all the other masterclasses, because they're available there for you to listen to again and again to get the information so that it really helps you and your club. So one of the things that I shared is a quote from Meredith Hill, who was very well known in the sales and marketing field. When you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. It's an important concept to try and remember and to get your head around. So when you message or write a message, when you say something on Facebook or anywhere that you write a message, address it to somebody specific as if they were there listening to it. If you think that you can just put out a message and the whole world will be interested, chances are that the whole world is going to overlook that message. So be very specific in terms of your messaging. What is the essence of a good message? So the first thing you want to do is when you're creating a message for an audience, understand what that audience, and again, focus as if it was on a specific person, what is their challenge or their pain point? Address their challenge and pain point in such a way that you connect emotionally. So you're creating an emotional connection between what they're feeling in regard to their challenge or pain point, and that emotional connection is made with what you're offering. Because as soon as that emotional connection happens between how they feel and what you're offering, you've got a sale. And in our case, somebody who's going to come as a guest, or you're going to convert a guest as a member, or you're going to retain a member. Those are the areas we're focusing on this evening, and that's the focus of the messaging. Something else that I shared in Masterclass 2 is this concept that features tell while benefits sell. What do I mean by that? Quite simply, look at what you see on the screen here. If I asked you to describe that, I would hope that you would say something like, I see a yellow pencil, it has 6 sides, it is round, it's got a sharp point at the one end and an eraser at the other end. Those are features, but nobody cares about the feature. Nobody wants that pencil. Let me tell you why you want that pencil. You see, it's bright yellow, and on your cluttered desk, it's very easy to write something. If you're creative and you can easily find your writing implement, it means that you're going to save time. So in other words, the benefit I'm offering you is a time saving. I'm not offering you a pencil, I'm offering you something that's bright yellow and a time saver. Do you begin to understand the difference between a feature and a benefit? Very often, when I hear Toastmasters describe the Toastmasters Club or the Toastmasters program, they talk about prepared speeches, table topics, evaluation, a safe environment, all the features of a Toastmasters Club. But in many cases, maybe even in all cases, the person they're speaking to doesn't really care. because they haven't yet attended a Toastmasters meeting and they don't know what it's all about. They want to know how the program is going to help them. Quickly to share my story, as I did in Masterclass 2, I joined Toastmasters because I was starting a business and I knew that I had to present it and I knew it was a difficult sell to make. So I wanted to be certain that I was good at presenting. So what did Toastmasters do for me? Toastmasters brought me more clients for my business. That's the benefit. That is what you're offering to somebody you're introducing to Toastmasters. When you know what their challenge or pain point is, you can connect with that. So in other words, a message would be, do you need more clients for your business? And do you feel that your presentation skills suck? I solved the problem and learned so many leadership skills that my business is now flourishing. And here's the kicker. I'm offering to be your mentor. The person who's listening to me or who I'm writing to has no idea that the Toastmasters program offers mentorship to everybody. Now I'm speaking to this person specifically and I'm offering myself as a mentor. There's nothing unusual about that, but in their mind, I'm creating great value for them because somebody who's used this program to be successful in business is now offering to mentor them. And because I've offered something of value, when I ask them to message me, I can expect them to respond. The other thing that I shared is create a fear of missing out. And you do that in your messaging by using words like you, your, free, or limiting the time offer. So for that very same message that I just shared with you, I would write or say to the prospect that I'm speaking to, right now we can help 3 people. Message me and let's have a discussion for free. So what am I saying? I'm saying we've got a limit to 3 people that we're helping. Enter your email address, because in this case I'm writing. So I've used the pronoun, creating this fear of missing out, and I'm telling them that it's a free discussion. So these are 3 elements that will gain traction with the person and encourage them to respond. So in summary, very quickly, some of the important points that I shared in Masterclass 2 that are important for this evening. When you're speaking, be very specific in addressing a person, not the world in general. Speak to their challenge or pain point. And when you speak to their challenge or pain point, connect emotionally. So with their feeling, or between their feeling and the offer that you're making. Offer benefits. They'll find out the features in due course. Offer a benefit to the client and create the fear of missing out. Use some of the techniques, and there are many. You only have to go online, do some Googling, and you'll find many examples of how to create the fear of missing out. So with that, it's time to introduce the people who will be joining me on stage, joining me virtually on stage this evening. The first person I want to introduce to you, and maybe we can have that slide again, Mr. Zoom Master. The first person is Lucinda Harmon. Lucinda Harmon is a distinguished Toastmaster, and she is the Division L Director. She is a thought leader, a coach, and a sales specialist. She is passionate about this very particular role, the role of the Vice President of Public Relations, and about branding and marketing. Between 2005 and 2008, she guided the essential makeover and transformation of the Bell's whiskey brand. And it came down to key messages that were repeated to consumers through the chosen platforms. And the success was that this whiskey brand gained a third of the market, of the whiskey market. A quote from her: "Your word selection and messaging either sets us up for loss or major success." So welcome, Lucinda. And let me go straight into introducing then the other one of our panelists this evening, Joanne Schmidt. Joanne Schmidt joined Toastmasters in February 2015. She achieved her DTM on the Legacy program in 2019 and will complete her Pathways DTM in February. She has been a club officer since the very first year of joining, 2015, and has served in her club or clubs as Vice President Education, Public Relations, and as the President of Kloof Toastmasters Business Club in 2018-19, when the club won Top Club Award. So we're going to be hearing from somebody who knows what they're talking about. Joanne was awarded the Van Blerk Memorial Award in 2016 for exceptional service in her first year as a Toastmaster. So somebody who works hard, and as Pathways Guide in 2018. Joanne enjoys public relations, is the coach of Crest Connect Club this year, and last year she was the P2 area director and the Division P director this year. Joanne says, participation in all aspects of Toastmasters is a gift to yourself. Pay it forward and empower others brings you joy, or paying it forward and empowering others brings joy. There is strength in unity, especially in these unprecedented times. Every sunset is a time for reflection, and every sunrise brings new opportunities for growth. So please put your hands together and welcome the people who are joining me on stage virtually this evening, Lucinda Harmon, and I hope Joanne Schmidt, if she hasn't dropped off because of load shedding. If somebody can confirm whether Joanne is still in the room, that would be helpful.
She's not.
She's not, right. So that means I'm going to take over from quite a bit of the things that she was going to cover. Right, let's begin. I want to introduce Lucinda Harmon to you because Lucinda has some really great things to share with you about how to build a champion club. So please, raise your hand, make an emoji, use a reaction if you want your club to be a champion club, so that Lucinda knows that she's speaking directly to you. Lucinda, please share what you have to say.
Thank you very much to JP Gnaat. He is, to me, really a man I would turn to always when it comes to PR. He is the ex-PR manager of District 74 as well, and Division Director. A warm welcome to everyone that's joining tonight, and I hope to share some really good wisdom with you and bits and pieces that are really going to help you to see your club succeed exponentially. The first thing he asked me to address, or we decided on, was building a championship club. And what I did is I listened to Lance Miller. Now, Lance Miller has actually created a CD exactly on this. And funny enough, when I listened to it, I actually realized those are 3 points that I apply in my sales role every single day of my life. And I think they're 3 points you can take in any area of your life if you want your life to be successful. I'm going to first list the 3 points, and then I'll discuss them a little bit more fully with you. First point, communication. This is where so many clubs really don't completely get that one right. The exco think maybe they get to make decisions and the members don't have to. Sometimes there are people that just don't disagree, they just disagree, and they can't come up with a common vision, or they can't kind of find a common ground. And the worst thing that can happen in life is when communication goes wrong and people don't address it. And that's often where things fall apart, is when there are issues and they don't get addressed, and the elephant in the room never gets acknowledged, and it ends up destroying and hurting a club and the people inside it. Really important in leadership to be transparent and to make sure that communication is always open. And it's thorough communication. It's internal and it's external. PR is not just about getting out there. It's also about your messaging and your relationships within your club, and keeping those warm and keeping those relationships really thorough and good. The second point he made was energy. Now, this is something that I use a lot in life, just generally. Passion, energy. People don't want to come in a club and see you with the ears down like this. I promise you they don't. When you come in a club, you want to feel alive. You want to feel this energy, like this tangible, it's that is so delicious that you want to come back. You want to leave better than when you arrived. And I think that is a big thing to remember. Often people arrive at a club, and I see it even now on Zoom, and kind of they're ignored. And I kind of think it's like walking in a room, everyone just turns their back and just ignores you. It's so important to warm that person arriving at your club, even more so when we're dealing on a Zoom platform or whatever using Microsoft Teams. Really important to create an energy that the exco, that the members are actually adding to that energy all the time. It's like a fire. You want to keep that fire hot. And if the fire becomes cold and people are giving up and they're complaining about the weather or COVID or whatever, you're taking away from the great learning experience ahead of you. And if you recall Rolf Smedley's one quote, if it's not fun, it's not Toastmasters. And I saw Harry earlier being so jovial in the room. And I'm like, that's what we want. We want the jovial, the happy, and that is what people come back for. You don't want to leave feeling that there's politics and drama going on a club. Nah. You want to leave thinking, I've learned so much. Wow, I'm going to get better. I've had constructive feedback coming my way. I can't wait to go back to this club. The third point he made is turn the ordinary into extraordinary. Now, we all are in Toastmasters here. We all are in one or other club. Now, what makes your club different to the clubs that I'm at? Where do we where's this part? Because if we're going to talk about communication and just leadership, and we're not going to make it a bit more exciting, and we're not going to get the messaging out there in a way that greets the person on the other side, the guest, the potential member, we're going to sit with a situation where they go, oh, I don't need Toastmasters. What's Toastmasters? I've got a busy life. I've got Zoom fatigue, whatever it might be. I don't want it. And I'm going to say to you today that a quick story. I heard about Toastmasters from my early 20s. And I said, I don't want to belong to Toastmasters at all. It sounds like a glorified book club or a drinking club. And at the end of the day, communication, I communicate great. Leadership, I don't want to lead anybody. I don't want to be a shepherd. I don't want sheep following me. And that was my piece. So when I got to 50, somebody came to me and said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to become an international speaker. And she said, so how's it going? And I said, not so good. And she said, do you ever get brought back to ever those places we've spoken? I said, no, never. And she said, it's funny because you never get evaluated. You never get feedback. So you probably are pretty rubbish, or you're probably not doing too well. And you know what? Why don't you come to a Toastmasters meeting? I guarantee you'll find something here. And so on those grounds is why I entered my first meeting and I signed up immediately. It's really important that we understand that we're not just selling the average, the borderline kind of stuff. We're selling that extra incredible experience, the extraordinary. That is what we're really selling. So those are the 3 points that Lance Mill himself came up with, were communication, energy, and turn the ordinary into extraordinary. He created a club with 95 members because he followed exactly that recipe. Phenomenal recipe. Now I'm going to go on to the unique value proposition. Now, I'm not big on these big words because I feel like it's kind of becomes jargon and we miss so many people. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as we can. It really is the selling point. It kind of is a unique offering. What do you do that nobody else does? That is the unique value proposition or unique selling point. And at the end of the day, as a club, you've got to work out what it is. Now, I heard from somebody the other day, which was very interesting, that there was a club and they were following in a very generic fashion. They were marketing as a Toastmaster club, overall shooting for the skies, not landing anywhere, not getting new members. And then they decided to specialize their club. And guess what? They got 14 new members. One of the clubs in the division that I'm in has been following a lot of the work that we've been doing as district and the division. And this week they're signing up 10 new members because they realized they'd missed on something. They actually are more corporate than they think. And they went to a corporate and they got 10 new members. It really comes down to what is your unique selling point? What do you want? Who are you? What are the kind of members you want in your club? Do you want loud, noisy, boisterous? Do you want rebels? Do you want more the bookworm kind of people? Who do you want? What kind of culture do you want? Very family, more clinical? What kind of people? Are they young? Are they retired? What do they look like? What are they doing? Are they accountants? Are they more salespeople? Are they estate agents? What are these people doing? And I think when you can find that unique selling point for your club and you work out what it is. Look at International Toastmasters. There are clubs now for gardeners. They're clubs for writers. They're clubs for people that love just like it's about books. There are now clubs for every kind of person. Since we got online, it's opened a whole new world. And now people are starting to niche and realize globally they can attract people that are like-minded and like them. The one thing you don't want is people in your club that aren't a fit. And eventually it becomes disruptive and they're unhappy and they leave and maybe others leave too. So the best thing you do is if somebody comes to your club and you say they don't quite fit, find out where they do fit and send them in that direction. When I generally get leads, I look through that person. I ask them a whole lot of questions and I find out who they are, what they're looking for, and then I channel them towards that club that I feel is their best fit. Then I also suggest they maybe go to 3 clubs and make up their own mind. I hope that's enough on that, the unique value proposition. We're now going to go back to JP.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. Lucinda, a question for you. I've gone to so many clubs and I said to them, you need to specialize and find out what's unique about you. And they don't know where to start. What advice do you have for a club when they're trying to figure out what's unique about them?
I've sat before this very question, funny enough, in a club in your division where you are currently in the same clubhouse. And it was an interesting question because I sat with the exco one day and I said, let's start with your why. Why did you join Toastmasters? And if they commonly came to one particular thing, and I said, that is your selling point. So they were a very culturally diverse club. The old style they were trying to follow was now outdated, and they were in a new era. And they had people right across the entire, not even Africa, but other countries in the club. And I said, you are a cultural club. You've got to be one of the most cultural, where there's not 2 people of the same language or coming from the same country together. And so they started exploring going along that avenue. I always start with a why, and then I kind of find out the kind of club that they want. If they'd imagine what that ideal person would be or ideal club, the energy, what would the meeting look like? Then they can answer the question and start searching for that answer.
Thank you. That really is very, very helpful. But now, Lucinda, you've worked with corporate clubs. How does a corporate club get an identity? Because, I mean, they belong to that corporate. They are just there to serve that corporate, but they're not attracting members from the company itself. How do they identify their unique value proposition to their company?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite close to my heart because I coached and I worked in a club, and I was actually exco, and JP, you were a frequent visitor, so you know what club we're talking about. And I think the IPP is actually also in the room. So this is a very close to home story, actually. For me, originally, we tried to do a very Toastmaster thing inside of the corporate. Now that did not work. We had to take on the identity of the corporate, and we had to deliver on what they need. At the end of the day, I thought they were going to be strict and they wanted a serious meeting. At the end of the day, they wanted more fun. They didn't want toasts. They didn't want the seriousness. They didn't, something like table topics didn't work for them. They wanted elevator pitches. Everything was a little different. They wanted educationals rather than just speeches on something that was applicable to them in their corporate career. And we eventually tailor-made it more towards that corporate and less about the Toastmaster formalities, still giving them the education, still keeping them on pathways and still delivering, But we did it because we did it a way that for them, because every club is autonomous and every club has got their own identity, and they've got the choice, the exco and the members have a choice to create what they want and the identity and the culture that they want. That's their right.
Everybody in the room, just listening to what you've heard now, do you begin to realize that there are leaders within this organization that you can turn to at any time when you have a question, and they're only too ready to answer that question and to assist you? You're never alone in this organization. Use the leaders around you to help you and your club achieve what you need to achieve. Now I'm going to share a little secret with you. I don't know if Lucinda even knows this, but Lance Miller donated a whole pile of that particular CD to South Africa. And these CDs are floating around in clubs and in divisions. And if you ask around, you'll find a copy of that CD, and it is really well worth listening to. It's in the format of an interview, and you will enjoy it. So look out for it. Now I'd like to move on. Between Lucinda and myself, we are taking you through a bit of a process. So now we've had a look at what the basics are for developing a champion club, how to identify what's the value that you're offering to the members in your club. And now we want to have a look at how we start positioning the messaging in your club so that you start attracting people. And with Lucinda just having spoken about the value proposition of a club, I'd like her to share a little bit as well of how you use the mission and vision, and particularly when you're basing what you're going to do in the year on your success plan to create messaging for your club. Lucinda, would you share with us?
Yeah, I would like to start, if we can get that first slide up, Afani, a wonderful Zoom master. I would like to start with the Toastmaster mission statement, club statement. And this is something that's really important to always remember and go back to as a club exco and member, especially the VPPR. The mission of a Toastmaster club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. That is the mission that every club is asked to uphold in District 7, right across internationals, in the International Toastmasters. And I want to move on to what is the vision then? So there's the mission. What is your vision? Now, when you actually fill in your success plan, you actually need to create a vision for your year. And that usually happens in about June, maybe you go into July, you'll sit with your exco. Sometimes people even ask their members, they will send out a survey. They'll ask them, what do you want this club to achieve in the next year? What's the ideal club you want? What do we want? Do we want to be known as the vision to create the world champion? You say, we want to be known as the club that, we know some here, the club that has the best evaluations. What is your two? To create the best evaluators in District 74, to create the world champion of speaking, to be known as the most lively, lit club in Africa, to be known as the home away from home. What is your two? What do you want to do in your vision? The same as we do as division directors, area directors, we all do success plans, we all plan for the year, and we all have one goal, one vision that we aim for in everything that we speak to. In every HBL that you'll know, Higher Leadership Program, you'll know that you are always having that vision ahead, and that's the goal, what you want to accomplish. And it's important to always speak to that. So a VPPR must remember at all times. Instance, in my division, it is hashtag strive for excellence. That is our thing, strive for excellence. And the other part is teamwork makes the dream work. In everything we put out, we talk about team, team, team. It is the biggest thing we speak about in every single thing that goes almost out there. And this is what eventually people repeat it back to you. Now I just put it anywhere. I say teamwork, ... and people fill it in. And it's that point where your members and even outside identify who you are by your vision. And at the end of the day, they also understand the club that you are. And that's a really important thing. I don't know if there are any questions on that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the theme.
Wait just a moment, Lucinda. Let's just say to the people in the room, maybe, I remember that our district director asked all club committees to hand in the mission, the club success plan somewhere in August. And maybe you did, and maybe your club didn't. But it is never too late to go back to your club success plan, especially now that we're starting the second half. I hope that as a club committee, you would be meeting in this month's club success plan and have a look at whether you did create a vision. Maybe a vision has popped out in the last 6 months based on the circumstances that we've had, or otherwise develop a vision that'll help you and your club to meet the goals that you're setting yourself for the end of this Toastmasters year. So it's never too late. Use the learning that you're getting this evening to create the success that you want. Now, Lucinda, Toastmasters International was very clear. No themes. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, you know, I got to say, I like themes. I really do. It's even our club officer training is coming up, and my team said to me, you know, what's your theme? What's our theme? We're mixing with another division for club officer training. And together, everyone asked yesterday, what's our theme? I like themes because it kind of already before you even arrive, you've already got a vibe and an idea of what's going on. And it kind of builds up an energy for you. I do know clubs that do have themes, and I've been part of clubs that have very, very set themes. And the president generally will organize it and plan it, and sometimes with the exco as well. And again, I would like to speak at all times, the VPPR, to speak to that theme, whatever it might be. It might be collaboration. That theme for the year might be excellence. The theme for the year might be friendship. There always is a theme that people are choosing, and I can't even think of all of them. Some were even quotes from books, I remember, in one of the clubs, and it was quite amazing how they kept to that. And I'm thinking of a very specific club in Division H that always spoke, every meeting they opened, they started with the theme and their vision, every meeting. And I think after 4 meetings, you could have repeated that, and eventually people got used to the fact that they'd chosen that. And I thought it added a beautiful, it's almost like adding a beautiful spice, a beautiful element to it. And for me, it made the club a little bit more, I don't know, unique and special having that theme. It really comes down to preference. There are no hard rules. And as you said, it's not really prescribed. It's a choice that a club would make.
Listen, if a club has a theme, how does that help to attract members or guests to a club? How do you use that?
Well, it depends if the VPPR is using the theme. I've known themes that never get out. So it's really important. Nobody knows about you, your theme, your vision, unless you speak it. You've got to speak. You've got to put it out there. And that is really critical. It really, for me, I love it. If I go in a club and I see a theme that I resonate with, then automatically you've got me probably 10%, 15% closer to you. And if I'm thinking about a dual membership, I think I might just jump a little bit quicker, knowing that I might be around like-minded people like me and a theme that speaks to me. If we think about your word of the year, I don't know if all of you make New Year's resolutions. I do a word of the year, and I stick to my word for the whole year. And I would ask you to, it's a similar thing in a club. It's almost like your word or your phrase of the year. And it's really important to reflect, like JP said, please go back to success plan. It's not too late right now to go work on your vision and work on still your remaining 5.5 months, your theme, and see what it feels like. Is there any difference if you actually start marketing your club with your vision and your theme? And I'd love the feedback afterwards.
Right, so what you're saying is that this helps to, together with the value proposition, it helps people to immediately feel at home if they resonate with the theme. So having a theme makes the club more inviting, or the guest knows that they need to look further, look elsewhere, because they don't resonate. Lucinda, there are so many ways of communicating with people out there, different platforms, and people struggle. Now, if you're phoning somebody, you need to speak to them in one way. If you're writing a WhatsApp message, what do you think about when you write a WhatsApp message? How do you create a message that resonates on Facebook, for example? What can you tell us about communication on the various platforms that our clubs are using?
Thank you, JP. Such a big topic, this one, and there are so many platforms today. You see the whole big the game going on with WhatsApp at the moment. In all truth, you are easy to track and find. So don't worry too much about that. Social media is part of our lives these days. We are consumers. We're seen as consumers. For me, the things that work really well, WhatsApp obviously is the easiest way. That's how we can formulate a group, quick messaging, quick and succinct. I would always say direct your information to email if you want people to read on email. I've seen some effective, we'll get to a bit later, very effective emails going out of District 74, which I will show you a bit later. The areas that I'm going to focus on is the areas I like the most, Facebook. Now make it a page and not a group. And your communication and page is open to the public. If you go in a group, you can go hide in the group, but nobody's going to find you or see what you're writing. They have to join your group. So a page for me as a club is the best place to be. And if people are weird and they're being a bit, not following very nice protocol, you can just remove them. But I would definitely go with Facebook. And that is normally the direct platform right across that you're looking at. Instagram is very much for the young market. And I would often say, if you're going to go Instagram, really look at young market. So you're looking at 20s into 30s. Normally, that's the general, some of the general point you're looking at. One I love is LinkedIn, but that is aimed more at your business entrepreneurs. So I really look a lot at LinkedIn, but that is because I do like the corporate environment quite a bit, and that's often where I put myself. What's important as well to remember is, where are you putting yourself as well as VPPR? Where are you putting yourself? Not in your club, but yourself. Because in everything you do, you can be talking about your club and Toastmasters and further pushing on your own accounts. So I would suggest you look at your market, decide where you're at, where you're batting, and then you choose the platforms that work for you. Newspapers works very well. I see Gail Hemming is here, works very well for Florida Club. Very well. The newspapers are alive and well in Florida and the West Rand, and they're free. In other areas where we are in Johannesburg, they're not free. But I can see how Gail and other clubs in the West Rand, and I was in a club in the West Rand, utilize it, and the newspapers love it. They want to know when there's a contest, who's winning. Often even when people win out of it every 2 weeks out of a club, just a general club meeting, they want that information. It's showing activity in the community. It helps the community and it helps your club, and you can get from that quite a few people. One of the other ones I like a lot, and I think is really underutilized, is Meetup. Now, this is used abroad and in South Africa and very effective. One of the clubs in District 74, I know used to get copious amounts of people just because of that Meetup every 2 weeks. And more than you think, much more than you think, people are actually on Meetup. And they're looking for places where they can hang out and kind of do something that's healthier than going to a bar. They want to meet people. They want to mingle. They're new in town. They want to find people. And that's one way of finding a healthy place like Toastmasters. And they can also, upskill and develop themselves at the same time. So those are the kind of communication platforms that we use in District 74. I still think radio is a great platform if you are further out, for those people that are further out. In Johannesburg, not so easy. We're very commercial here and quite difficult to get slots and get to speak on the radio. But when it comes to the other countries in District 74, very effective, and even television, I can see that they get interviews and they are using radio. And we did have a Toastmasters radio at one time, But after COVID, that kind of went a bit quiet. I'm hoping that will come back. I hope that's covered the communication platforms.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. Yes, a couple of things that I can quickly add. I am fairly active on a platform called Quora. It's a platform where people can ask questions. If you want to find out what people are looking for, what questions people have, get yourself onto Quora and start answering questions around public communication, and you begin to get an idea of the spectrum of questions that people have. And something else, I am at the moment the coordinator for a meetup group for Toastmasters for the Northern Johannesburg group. And I can tell you that I'm admitting 2 to 3 people to that group every single day. But I never see any of the coordinators, any of the people who are creating events, putting out messages. Quora has a messaging system. And I'd love to see people putting out messages that relate to their particular club. And with that, I want to ask Lucinda, speak a little bit about consistency in terms of the messaging that a club puts out related to how they attract people.
I think this is something I'm very, very, very passionate about, is consistency and being constant and consistent and visible at all times. It is critical, because your audience, meaning your members or your guests or your prospective people that are watching what you're doing, actually, it's almost like we're very habitual as human beings, and we like to have a system in place. We like to have routine. And it's something that I teach at the moment around me is, if you're going to do something, you need to keep it up. So whatever you start, and I would say in the PR, you should have a success plan for your year, a plan, a social media plan, a communication plan. So if you're going to, I would suggest 2 posts in a week on, say, a Facebook page. It's really important all the time, remember, that unique selling point, your vision and your theme, and speak to that and make sure your messaging goes out constantly and consistently. Don't use crazy up and around all over the show, and you lose people, and they go, where have you gone? You lose people. And it takes people a lot of time to warm sometimes and really assimilate who you are, that identity. And once they got it, you need to keep repeating it and keep repeating it until you see that it's got a favorable response. The worst thing you do is you get a bit panic-stricken and you get a bit desperate, and you start doing anything, anywhere, anyhow, and you start grabbing all over. Start with 1 or 2 communication platforms. Make sure you do them successfully, and make sure that you're doing them properly. Be consistent and have constant messaging, and be visible, visible, visible. People do not know about you if you're not out there. They certainly don't know about this great club you have and what you can offer them and the value you're going to bring and the excitement they're missing out on if you're being quiet. So it's really important, VPPR, you are the face and the brand actually of Toastmasters and your club and the district. No pressure. And you are the one that the public see, and you're the one that warms up and gets the people to, okay, come in here, come and have a look. Don't you want to come see what we're doing? That is really important to remember. There's a lot of responsibility, more than you think in a VPPR. I think it's a critical role. It is my favorite role, and I don't try and say it isn't. And it's really important to make sure that you are absolutely professional, and that you also are polished and disciplined in your posting, and you keep up the momentum. Don't drop the people that are watching you. Keep it up. So for instance, I'll give you a club before, if I was VPR and a community club. Saturday, straight after we got the people who'd won, I put the post up immediately. Who'd won all 3 areas: speeches, table topics, evaluations. By the next, in the middle of that week, I already was posting something else about the club. They made it exceptionally great to come to. By the Saturday, I was already talking about the next meeting. On the Wednesday, I was talking about the next meeting on Meetup, on social media, on Facebook, and on WhatsApp. We were going all over. And that is also on Easy Speak. Reminders going out on Easy Speak was the other thing that was happening. So make sure that you've got a set plan and you keep to that plan, and you don't get disturbed or distracted, because that could cost you quite a lot.
If you don't remember how to create a public relations plan, go back to Masterclass number 2. Go and have a look at the video that's on our YouTube channel. Half of that masterclass was about creating a public relations plan. So now you've heard how to identify the value of your club, how to look at the vision that you have for your club, possibly a theme. You're beginning to get an idea of who you are as a club and the type of members you want to attract. That means you also know what the challenges are of the potential people that you want to attract to your club and what their pain points are. So please remember, as I said right at the beginning, when you're messaging on your Facebook page, wherever you are creating your messages, address the benefits that you're offering as your club through your value proposition, through your theme, through your vision that you are offering to the people that you're trying to attract. Because if you simply give them the features, they're going to feel bored. But if you connect with the benefit that you can offer, and you connect that benefit to the pain point or the challenge they're experiencing, they know that your club, because of your theme, value proposition, or vision, is the place where they want to be, and they'll come and have a look. Now we get on to something that's really important. We have been talking a lot about messaging, but Lucinda has found some examples to share of exactly how to create an impactful message. So Lucinda, would you like to share those with the group tonight?
First of all, I must say thank you to the Vision Director from District 91, because this is the share that I'm going to show you. It was for me so on song and so on point that I wanted to share this with you. The slides that are coming up now will speak exactly to, they've got it on dot in their messaging. If you want to know how to message, if you're going to talk communication and you're going to talk just leadership, you're not going to be reaching people where they're at. People, their pain point or the area that they're battling with, this is where it starts. So if you look at this person here, I improved my chance of getting a job, thanks Toastmasters, and they've put their details there for you to go. It was really important because they even give you the script. They say, start the script. There's your flyer, and your script goes. I always used to get tongue-tied at interviews. But since I joined Toastmasters, guess what? I now can speak with confidence. I now walk in a room and I command attention, and I know exactly how to effectively get my message and get my point across, and I know how to negotiate, I know how to communicate smoothly. So that would be one point. The next one they gave up was team leader, and it was all about I became a better team player. Now, how many people are battling in corporate, battling in jobs? They're battling wherever it might be, buying sports people, anything. And it could be costing them dearly because they keep on getting appraisals say you're a bad team player. You are too much of a loner. You're too much of an individualist. Well, guess what? There you go. I learned team meant together we achieve more. That's what my division talks about a lot as well, is about teamwork. And this is something that you learn in Toastmasters. And let's go on to the next one. Now, something that's already saw in COVID time is some of us got decreased salaries. And I must be honest, at the moment, I think we have to learn to negotiate really well in our current job positions. And here is one. I had the confidence to ask for a pay increase in my pay or pay rise. And here was the thing, I was nervous sitting down with my boss. But you know, through Toastmasters, I learned that it was a safe and supportive environment, that I could find my strength and my courage and my confidence. And today, I don't fear anymore standing in front of authority figures, because I learned that actually I am an effective person in my own life, and I am whatever it might be. So that for me is actually quite a good one right now in COVID. It probably doesn't hit too well. It would probably be another message. The other one was I learned how to lead a team. Now you sit with managers and they are not leaders. And how many we sit with in corporate, they're sitting and they're battling. and they're sitting with a lot of conflict. It's because they don't know. And here's a message for them. Being a leader is not natural, but through Toastmasters, I learned how to become a leader. I was given opportunities in safe and supportive environments. And today, I am a leader. On to the next slide. I've just delivered my first presentation. Thanks, Toastmasters. How many times you go into a corporate club and you've got young people coming, graduates coming in, or someone that's just moved into management, suddenly they've got to do board meetings, they've got to go and do big presentations. This is it, dry mouth, clammy hands, nausea. A lot of people feel that even speaking on a stage. You speak to that and you say, with that flyer, and bang, you've got the right audience. In a LinkedIn, that would work like unbelievably so. I nailed my interview and I got the first job. Those people are coming out, they've just finished university, just finished diploma, just coming out of school. And they've got to go to recruiters, and it's a terrifying thing for them. And I used to struggle to think on my feet. But you know, in Toastmasters, one of our things is impromptu speaking. And now today, I am a confident, off-the-cuff speaker, and I can handle any questions thrown at me. And there you go into that one. So it really comes down to really effective messaging all the way. That's the next one coming up, Fani. It really comes down to, in life, if we speak to that thing that the person is battling with. A young man came to visit me this week. He's a gorgeous guy, well built, got a sports car. He is educated. His parents left him a lot of money. He's worth millions of rand. And he says, you know, Lucinda, I've got one problem. Women run a mile from me. I can't find a woman. They're terrified of me. And I said, that's funny, because you seem to me like such a nice guy. And he said, but you're an old lady. I'm not worried about old ladies. It's when I get young women in front of me that things go really wrong. So I said to him, it's interesting, because I think in Toastmasters, you could probably, in Toastmasters, you will be able to nurture these skills, and you'll be able to find the confidence to have those conversations. And he looked at me and he said to me, are you kidding me? He said, how much is it? And I said, you know what, the worst scenario, biggest, not worst, the most we pay is almost 1,000 rand, maybe for 6 months. He goes, my word, how could it be so simple? And I could maybe even find a woman. And I think we need to learn our messaging. It's how are you directing that messaging at whoever you're in front of? You can't try and sell to him, about corporate management, climbing the corporate ladder. He's a young guy, he's still finishing his degree. So you've got to find out where you're at. You can't go to an old age home and sell them a fun, entertaining, young hip hop, loud club. You've got to work out where people are at, what they're dealing with. Is it family matters? Is it personal? Is it work? Where is that thing that they're dealing with? And how can you kind of do this? Bring Toastmasters in and find a match. You know, when you had that game of circles, squares, triangles, and you had to put the circles together and the triangles together and the squares together. You've got to find out where those people are and their pain point and what they're dealing with, and find out, as JP said, find that value, that benefit of Toastmasters, and match them up so that they know exactly that you are on song, and you can help them, assist them with their problem, and that you'll have a successful outcome and a happy member at the end of the day.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lucinda. Now, what you will have noticed, I hope, if you looked very carefully at those slides consisted of headlines. They were very short messages, very clear messages that spoke directly to a pain point or a challenge. So I want to share something with you that I just heard the other day from a marketer, and that is that our attention span as human beings today in the world that we live in is 7 seconds. And I certainly experienced that. If you don't get my attention within 7 seconds, I'm gone. When I get a telephone call, and this happens once, twice a week, and I answer the telephone and I say, hello, John Peter Gernot speaking, and the person says, hello, how are you? I immediately already know this is a sales call, and they're not telling me what their main message is, and I'm angry, and I'm ready to put the telephone down on them. because I want to know what they have to offer me that connects with my challenge or my pain point. And that's what all those short messages, those beautifully constructed messages that Lucinda's just shown you, they all reveal that. They catch your attention immediately. And as soon as they have your attention, you're willing to read the script that goes underneath because it has got your attention. We need to keep moving, so I'm not going to say very much more on that. Lucinda, do you want to speak any more about creating excitement, or have you already covered that?
You know, I think you've just got to get the message out there. You know, you've got to make Toastmasters sound like a great thing, not just some educational system. And you come in, you do your speech, and leave. It's got to be something like it's got energy. You know, like we were talking right at the beginning with Lance Miller. There's got to be energy. They must feel the excitement. If you are excited about it, then they are going to feel excited about it. And remember, I sold moonshine. Now, I don't know if you know, moonshine's undistilled whiskey, and I sold that in the Free State area at a time. Now, moonshine is sinfully terrible on your palate. I would not suggest it for the average person. It came around in America in the times that liquor was banned, kind of like COVID, people making pineapple beer or pineapple, whatever they're making at the moment, the concoctions. Now, what's really interesting about the moonshine story is people bought that stuff. I sold cases and cases and cases. I sold the entire distillery, the entire stock, just in the Free State. And the one day I went to one of the guys and I said to him, you know what? I can't believe that your restaurant goes through so much moonshine. I mean, it's sinfully bad. What are you mixing it with? What are you doing? And he said to me, I'm buying your excitement. Because you come and you go, oh, moonshine is so cool. Moonshine's the best. I did shooters in bars, putting moons on, we won't say where, on people's bodies. And I sold the moonshine wickedly in the Free State. And I actually felt sorry for them all for buying it. But at the end of the day, the stock had to go. They bought it. But that was the thing I remembered. They bought my excitement. I convinced myself that moonshine is the best drink in the world. Now, we don't want to say, please, we don't want to say that, you know, Toastmasters is not the entire universe, although I believe it can solve every single thing in everyone's life. And I really believe people can benefit from it. We're not talking about the same hard sale that I did with the liquor industry, definitely not. But I do believe that you've got to create an excitement in your club, and you've got to put that across with photos, with a script. We're coming into that now. With things that you're writing, recognition and things that are coming up soon. You've got to be putting that out there and show people that this club is the club to be, and this is a place that you are going to have a lot of fun, and you are going to develop, and you are going to become a way, way, way better person by the end of, throughout your process.
Thank you very much for that. Right. One of the things when you're creating messages, particularly if you're writing on a Facebook page, try and offer some value to your audience, the people you're speaking to. Give them hints and tips that can change their life. So find out from your members, find out from other Toastmasters what they learned through the Toastmasters program that has very specifically impacted their life. For example, one of the things that I learned is the value of stories. For thousands of years, we, humanity, sat around the fire every single night and shared stories. Our brain is hardwired to listen to stories, not to facts and information, but as soon as you turn facts and information into a story, people begin to relate and listen. If you can share something like that, something of value with an audience, particularly a corporate audience, or somebody who's working with facts and figures and boring the presentations that they give, they're boring their audience to death. Give them valuable information. Give them then an example of how it has worked for a member in your club. And what that does is it creates a sense of obligation. They feel they've gained something from you, and now they feel obliged that when you ask something of them, And what are you going to ask? You're going to invite them. So you're going to say, please come along to a club meeting. They're going to feel obligated because of the value you've given them to say yes. So that's one example, sharing stories. When you're giving a speech, it really helps, and in storytelling as well, to use direct dialogue. Not just say, he said, but for example, and this was an example that one of the world champions of public speaking said, gave us, he said, come with me, sit with me this evening on the couch, on the sofa. I'm sitting here next to my wife, and I turn to my wife and I say, direct conversation, hold a dialogue between the characters that you're speaking about in your story. And it could, those characters could be the PR, the sales manager and the operations manager of a business. So instead of talking about what they said, actually speak as if they were having a dialogue. See how that works, and then give examples of where that has worked in a corporate from a member in your club or from a Toastmaster, from one of the leaders. The other thing that you can share as value in your communication is what people gain from receiving feedback. Lucinda spoke about it when during her introduction. She wanted to be a champion speaker. She wanted to get out there and speak in public. And when her friends asked her, so how's that going? Her answer was rubbish. And her friend said to her, well, it's probably because you're not getting much feedback. So there is an example that you were given this evening that you can use in your messaging of the value that feedback that we give and get and receive in Toastmasters can change a life. Lucinda, who wanted to be on stage and speak, wasn't achieving it until she joined Toastmasters, and now she's delivered a TEDx presentation. So create an obligation with your audience in your messaging by offering value in the messages that you write. I would quickly like to ask our leaders, Maud, Zakia, are we taking a short break? The first hour is up, or are we going to keep going?
I think we can keep going, JP. This is super engaging.
Right.
Are you good to go?
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's stay then. Thanks.
What we want to do now is start having a look. So we've positioned ourselves for the kind of messages that you're going to deliver in your club to attract people. So now let's have a look very specifically at attracting people. And now here is where I was really hoping that Joanne was still going to be on the call, because we asked her. She has been very successful with some cold calling. She has run Facebook campaigns, and as a result of those Facebook campaigns has had people who have responded. And what she did was either through direct calling or through Facebook messaging, she's had a direct conversation with these people. And what she says is, well, cold calling is very seldom anybody's favorite. But it really can be very, very beneficial in getting you leads for your club or guests to come to your club. So when you call the person, they are probably going to sound very wary, the way that I do when I receive a phone call. So the very first thing that you want to do is you want to reassure them that you are not a salesman. And now if they responded to, for example, a Facebook campaign or possibly an open house lead, you've already got an entry into the conversation with these people. And you would say something like, thank you for responding to our Facebook campaign. And now you would know from the response that they gave in that particular Facebook campaign what their interest is. And it could be, for example, I see that you're interested in, it could be public speaking, or you say that you have no confidence, or you want to be a motivational speaker, or a trainer, or a better communicator, or you want personal development. And their answer now is going to be yes. And this is a great sales technique, is to get the other person to answer in the affirmative. And don't immediately carry on speaking. Just shut up, keep quiet, and allow them to speak. Let them share a little bit about themselves, because they're now going to say, yes, that was my reason, because. And as you listen, you're going to find out what their challenge or pain point is, or what their goal is that they want to meet. They may even share something of what they do for a living. And these are all clues that you can use to connect them with the offering that Toastmasters has, so that they can meet their needs or their dreams. And while you're listening to them, try and find an opportunity to, or try and look for a strength that they already possess that you could comment on. For example, they may already sound fairly confident, or maybe you notice that they have a great tone, or their volume when they're conversing with you makes it particularly easy for you to listen. Or maybe you hear that they use good vocabulary, or maybe the way in which they convey their personality, or you can even hear the smile coming across the telephone. Whatever it is that you pick up in your communication with them that they already have as a strength, compliment them on it. Otherwise, if you don't notice anything, you can always fall back on something like, you're coming to the right place. We're offering you a supportive and encouraging environment where you'll be among a group of people who know what it's like to feel nervous. We all started nervous, and we learned ways to ease it. Feeling nervous is also good to ensure that you deliver your best. Toastmasters often start nervous and then go on to be motivational speakers who earn to speak. Like, for example, Billy Mwepe or Lucinda Harmon, who's delivered a TEDx talk. If, for example, you don't get a response to the call that you put through to somebody who has connected with you through a Facebook campaign or an open house lead, you may now decide to engage with them in terms of a message instead. Now, if you're going to engage with them on WhatsApp, rather use a voice message. Leave them a voice note so that they get to hear your tone of voice and that they can hear that you're authentic and that you're trustworthy. If, on the other hand, you're going to type them a message, add something of value to that message. Send them a flyer. Make sure that the message that you write that goes with that flyer is personal. Address it to them directly. Or, for example, you could first send out a broadcast message followed by a personalized message. Something like, "Good day. Thank you for responding to the Facebook campaign run by Toastmasters International in South Africa," or whoever it was. You indicated a desire to improve your public speaking skills and to gain confidence. You have come to the right place. I'm attaching a flyer for you to read a little more about Toastmasters and learn about its unique learning program. We have Toastmasters who started out like you and have gone on to be professional speakers, become TV presenters, and realized dreams they never thought of. So now you're getting their imagination going. I'd love to connect with you to hear more about your goals and how we can help you to achieve your goals. Please let me know what times are convenient. So ask for several times are convenient for me to talk to you. I look forward to hearing from you. Now, when they respond, what Joanne says is she always uses their first name in the emails and when making a call. Now, I suggest you do that. Use first names to address the person. And attach other items that are of interest. And then organize them to meet with them, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's a WhatsApp call, or maybe even in person. Or you could send them a member story. And I'm fortunate that I've got something to share with you. Something like this. And it's really valuable if you spend some time as the Vice President of Public Relations with the members of your club and find out from each one of them what benefit they've personally gained from Toastmasters. We call that the member moment. And when you know what their pain point or challenge was, how Toastmasters helped them overcome, you can use those messages, as in this particular example you're seeing on screen now, to connect with prospects. So let's have a look. This example will be shared with you, so I'm not going to read it out now, but here is an example that will be available for you in the slide pack, as well as on the YouTube channel when this video becomes available, that you can have a good look at how to write an example. Here's an example of a personalized message. And in fact, this one offers various options, whether the person wants to climb the corporate ladder, improve their communication skills, become a better leader or motivator, or gain self-confidence when speaking to groups. You can address a specific pain point or challenge for the person through this particular example. And here I put a little note. Joanne in her slide said that the Toastmasters costs less than a 5-day course. And my comment to that is, if you start looking at online courses, very few online courses sell for under $200. When you realize that, you begin to realize how much value we offer for 6 months of training at only $45. So with that, I want to move on and give Lucinda again, I'm going to stop sharing, an opportunity to have a look at other direct messaging that can create leads on your various platforms. I think Lucinda specifically wants to have a look at LinkedIn in this particular segment. Lucinda.
Thank you, JP. That was a long session for you. Enjoy the break. It's a very important, as I said, LinkedIn, more than you understand, is a critical platform, especially right now where people are having to do business online. This is a huge opportunity as Toastmasters. And what happened is, often I get friend requests, wherever they might be. It might be Facebook, might be LinkedIn, various channels. And this was one that I received on LinkedIn. I saw that it was an accountant, and I said, okay, cool. No problem. I'll connect with you. Straight away, I got this message. Thanks for connecting. I'm glad to be in your network. I see that you're Distinguished Toastmaster, Division Director at SA Toastmasters. How's your experience been with Toastmasters? I think she meant I'd recently been invited to and attended 2 Toastmaster meetings, and I must say they were great. Look forward to great learning and networking experience, which should be his experience. Now I've blotted out the person's name. It took me 1 reply, and I haven't got the whole thing because unfortunately LinkedIn somehow deletes your messages. I don't know why, but I've got no idea. I've tried to go and try and rescue it, but I got this part that I had copied. And I wrote, lovely to connect with you. I just want to make this, I cannot read it because my words are over here. I would not be where I am today as a TEDx speaker or corporate coach without the great learnings of Toastmaster. It gave me opportunity in networking, nothing else did. And if I recall, I finished it off saying, Toastmaster has changed my life, and I have a lot of gratitude for an incredible, cost-effective program that really turned the tide in my life. And afterwards, I got, Lucinda, when can I come to a meeting? I set her up for one meeting, and then I found out the club that she had been to, and she signed up within 1 week. She's now at a club in Division H and extremely happy and very positive about actually taking that step. It took one LinkedIn message, as simple as this, and it was just what I wrote. You have to deliver exactly what she was asking for. Now, if I'd not known, had my facts, my knowledge on Toastmasters, if I didn't give her something in my story, how to improve my life, I actually wouldn't have had that engagement and that positive response. Everything was the way that I engaged and I followed through. And then I made sure that she got to the club. I spoke to the club exco, made sure she had signed up. And now there's a very, very happy member on board. And it was a very interesting engagement because I didn't realize how quickly it could happen. But I just felt at that time, I was just going to speak from my heart exactly how it was. And it had a positive response. It didn't have to be technical. I didn't have to be following a script. It came from my heart to the fact that I really do. I owe Toastmasters a lot for where I am today. And honestly, it is the truth. I think that is, now we're going on. JP, back to you.
Perfect. So what you've heard now is how you create messages and how you speak directly to leads that you get to bring them to a club, either through the cold calling, as Joanne would have shared with you, or using the messaging platforms that are available within the various communication tools that you're using to speak directly. I repeat, speak directly to people to invite them to come to a club. So now we're at a club meeting and your guest arrives. How should you meet or how should a guest be met at a club meeting? What is the correct messaging for that? Lucinda, may I start there? In my opinion, and let me give you my experience. I joined Transformers Toastmasters because it was the only club that met on a Monday. So I sent them a message. I got a reply back from the Vice President of Public Relations, and he shared with me some information. The day before the meeting, I got another message, in fact, a phone call from the Vice President of Public Relations, reminding me of the club meeting the next evening and would I be attending. I felt obligated. Yes, I said. When I arrived at the club meeting, there was the Vice President of Public Relations waiting for me to connect with me. So in other words, I had been speaking to the same person 3 times. I wasn't being shoved from or moved from one club officer to another. There was consistency in that interaction. And that's something that I would recommend, is that the Vice President of Public Relations, who started the communication journey with a guest, sees it through at the door of the club and then takes them into the club meeting, where I was introduced to the club president. Then I was introduced to the Vice President membership, and I was told that the Vice President membership would look after me for the evening. And the Vice President membership then sat me down next to an experienced Toastmaster and made sure that and we'll speak about guest packs in the next segment, but I received some information and I knew I had somebody who was going to guide me through how the meeting was run. If you go to the Toastmasters manual, the club leadership manual, and I hope that all of you have read through that manual, you will probably find that when you start with the Sergeant-at-Arms, it says that the Sergeant-at-Arms is responsible for the possessions of the club, arranging the club venue and setting up the venue for each meeting, and is there early to greet guests. And in some clubs, you find that the Sergeant-at-Arms is there available early and greets the first guests. But often your Sergeant-at-Arms is the least experienced member in your Toastmasters club, because that's what we do. As soon as a new member comes in, it's election time. We ask if they'd like to be Sergeant-at-Arms, because we know as soon as they become involved, they are more committed. But this person knows very little. Now, I've seen one club where they decided, right, this is what it says in the manual, so let's train our Sergeant at Arms to be our chief club greeter. And they were extremely successful because the Sergeant at Arms suddenly felt very important. They were now the chief club greeter, and they made a really spectacular job of ensuring that they met the guest at the club at the door and introduced them to all the various people that the person needed to be introduced to. So what I'm saying to you is there is no one size fits all. You need to find what works for your club, but then ensure that it works extremely well. Lucinda, why don't you share your experience and maybe give some suggestions?
Just need to say something, JP, please time. If we look at segment where we are now, it was from 5 to 7. So I think let's just please chop out important parts. I see retention is coming up in the chat box. Let's just cut and go where we need to right now. Can you please just steer me where you want us to go? I think you've covered enough on that particular thing. I think we must just move a little bit forward.
Okay. What I wanted to say next was just to briefly cover the guest pack. Now, Lucinda will tell you that in her belief, the Vice President of Membership is responsible for the guest pack. And I would probably agree with that, except that all messaging, and to ensure that messaging within the club is consistent, please, as Vice President Public Relations, make sure that you are on the team and you check what goes into that guest pack. Now, when your guest receives a guest pack, it's daunting, but it also gives them the feeling that they are receiving value from the club. Okay, we move straight on. I've already covered to a certain extent how and who to introduce your guests to. Lucinda, anything you wanted to add?
I think we need to superjet. Get on to the next section.
Right. Then let's get on. So now we've had a look at what happens when how do you attract guests or leads to your club to become guests. Now, the next thing that you want to do as a club is to convert that guest into a member. And your response as Vice President's Public Relations is going to be, well, that's not my job. That's the job of the Vice President Membership. Yes, agreed. But as the Vice President Public Relations, you set the mood and the theme and all the messaging within your club, and you have a great role to play in ensuring that guests are converted. So Lucinda, would you like to share with us a little bit about how to make a club meeting stand out in the minds? And now we're speaking specifically of guests, but it also applies to your club members. What do you do to make that club meeting stand out in the minds of the people there?
I think, thank you, JP. I think what's really important is you've got to make them feel special. From the minute they walk in, that they're valuable and that you really want them to be part of your club. Now, we're talking about if you know they're fit, if they're meant to be part of your club. I think it's really important that you, by the recognitions you do in your club, when they're there, what they see, how you treat the other members. If you're acknowledging, giving recognition, you're constructively assisting people, you're developing people, they can see people are doing better and improving. The club, say, has got top speakers, top evaluators, whatever. If they can look at those people and go, wow, this is a really great club. So they're going to find things in that club they're going to see and say, you know what, I also want to go on this journey. I feel that I also want my life. So it's kind of those member moments. You're talking about success stories, sharing your why you joined Toastmasters. Those are things that are going to connect to that prospective member. So for me, it's really important that you exceed their expectations. You give them that extraordinary experience. They leave way better than when they arrived, meaning that they're going to come back, and that you've given them something to think about, and maybe even a table topic. So they've actually got to really get up, do a speech and go, oh, I got over my fear. I got the first step. I want to come back. I want to have more. And you want to create that where people look at your club, they buy into your vision, they like your theme, and they feel that this is kind of like a home away from home. It's a space they feel safe and supportive. And this is something that is really going to be the deal breaker, the make or break, I think, where the person becomes a member.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. Now, before the club meeting, what happens in a lot of clubs is there's absolutely no communication between club meetings. One meeting is over, and the next time that anybody communicates with the club, it comes from the Vice President Education, sending out the agenda for the next club meeting. And maybe they send it out 1 or 2 days before the meeting. Maybe they send it out on the morning of the meeting. As Vice President Public Relations, part of your job is to keep the communication going. That ensures that you bring people, both guests, leads, visiting Toastmasters, and your club members to the door. So you want to continually keep connecting with them. So as the program is being prepared, find out who the speakers are, find out what they're going to be speaking on, create excitement for the club meeting, before the meeting, and send out short, brief messages on your various platforms, reminding and encouraging people, not just saying there is a club meeting, but this is the reason why you're going to come to the meeting. This is the theme of the meeting. This is the speaker you go. This is what they're going to be speaking about. Create excitement leading up to the club meeting. Then while you're sitting in your club meeting, collect bits of information, not just photographs. Yes, it's nice to have great photographs, but collect stories. For example, somebody is finishing a level, somebody is giving their icebreaker. Whatever achievements that members are making in a particular meeting, note those down. Get very specific photographs. Go and speak to the member afterwards and ask them about their journey to that level. And some of the best clubs that I know of, what happens immediately after a meeting is the Vice President Education, in some cases the Secretary, writes a short communication to the club, creating the fear of missing out, sharing what happened, what the highlights of the meeting were in terms of achievements, in terms of the great speeches, in terms of something special that was said, something learned of great learning value that was said during an evaluation or during the general evaluation, and then share that as a news brief with the club. So keep the communication going with your members before the meeting, immediately after the meeting, and then so that there's this constant cycle, as Lucinda spoke about earlier. Never stop communicating. Keep that communication going. Now, Lucinda, you want to share some really great examples of emails that you've seen going out from clubs, not in South Africa, but internationally. Would you like to share those?
Thank you, JP. I think that's the great part about where we're at now, is we can travel the world. And I hope you all are traveling the world as far as you can go and to all the corners. It's very exciting to be traveling. You learn a lot. What I saw with one of the clubs, the first 2 messages belong to that club, is it was around Christmas time, as you can see, is they're using Easy Speak, but they're personalizing their messages going out of Easy Speak. They are not using a MailChimp. And what really interested me with the first email is it immediately got my attention, and I'm sure a lot of other people. So they're saying, you know, we're delighted that we've got 12 countries registered. I mean, that's 12. Then they go on to, they've given you the actual club's name. They've only charted like 8 months ago. This is a fully complete online club. And they talk about like fabulous so-and-so is the Toastmaster and speeches about love yourself. So they're tantalizing you. They're giving you some excitement, something to look forward to, something to buy into and join up for. And topics from the ever smiling, the Irish grammarian is always smiling, full of energy. They even go South Africa, and the evaluators was also from South Africa as well, and from Sweden. And they really, really go through the entire kind of a little bit of a beautiful picture. They paint it for you. And you think, you know what, I really want to make this meeting. I'm not going to miss this meeting at all. Now, that week, they sent out 3 emails of the meeting. One was the Monday, then it was on the Wednesday, and then the morning of it, actually an hour before the meeting, they said, now we're going on air, we're going live. Come on in, everybody. Come and keep yourself warm in our meeting. And that is what I love about this club, is the fact that they keep you all of the time. I've never been in a club before, been to a club, that they communicate as much as this particular club. And because they're online, they really understand, they haven't got the face-to-face value even ever coming back. They made a decision to stay online. And they are doing this extremely effectively. On their Facebook page, not as well, but on this platform, extremely well. Straight after the meeting, there we go. There's an email that comes to you afterwards with the photo that I didn't take that one because I didn't have much script. And straight away afterwards is Happy New Year, everyone. At our Christmas evening, it was me. I was actually their GE. And I did say, this is an advanced club. You feel it from the moment you attend. They took my words and they gave my words in the email to the entire their mail list that they've got. And then they start bragging, telling you, hey, we've got 7 DTMs and we've got an 8th coming in now. And what is it about our club? This is, and they take you through and they're pumping. You can see in this exact email that they are working extremely hard. And this is actually the president that's taken this on, is to really get people into that room. Now, this particular meeting, there were a lot of people, it was 12 countries, and it was super pumped. It was an incredible experience. It was high-end energy. Something else I want to make about them is they sell cosmopolitan diverse. They want to be known as the most cosmopolitan club in the world, and they're surely delivering on it. The speeches that come through are people that tell you about all their experiences and, you know, all the judgments they've been through. And this is a club where they're not judged. And they really pump the message very strongly, all inclusive. There's no exclusion. This is the message, and this is their driver. They want to be the world #1 vision, the #1 diverse cosmopolitan club in the world, and they're delivering on it. The third email is one that I get from another club, which is Manhasset Manhasset Port in Washington. And, you know, I had to unfortunately delete so many things here because they had certificates. They publish the certificates because they obviously don't have photos because it's online. They do also put photos of the actual event up as well, but because I can't do that because this could go public on YouTube. And then they also promote the best table topics, best evaluator, best speaker. They do this here and they do it on their Facebook page. And this club is also one of these high energy kind of clubs, big on recognition inside the meeting, outside the meeting, all the way around. They want members and they make a noise and they really draw people from all over the world. Back to you, JP.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. So now you've heard a little bit about what to do when a guest arrives at a club, how to create the messaging that keeps that will help to convert the guest into a member. One of the other things that I mentioned earlier is that you as the Vice President of Public Relations should, and I'm suggesting this, get to know the members of the club and their particular journey, the member moment as we call it. Learn from each of the members what it was that was their challenge and how Toastmasters has solved that challenge for them. Because you've now learned a little bit about the lead, the guest who's arrived at the club. You know something about the challenge that they're experiencing, the goal that they're trying to reach, or the pain point that they have in their life. And now you can link them up with a member in the club who has a similar story of success to tell. So by knowing the member moments, the journeys of the members in your club, before that guest leaves that evening, you've connected them with somebody who's going to tell them a personalized story of how Toastmasters has benefited them. And if they connect, they will immediately feel, well, if they can, then I can. And as soon as somebody has that feeling, if they can, I can, chances are they'll want to sign up. So we've had a look in the last hour and a half at how you position your club in terms of the value proposition that you offer, in terms of how you communicate to create those three most important things, the communication, the energy, and what is extraordinary about your club that sets it apart as a champion club. We've had a look at how you create and prepare yourself to create the messaging that sets your club up as a good proposition for the leads you're connecting with. We've suggested quite a lot of very specific wording that you'll be able to go back to when you go to the slides or when you go back over this video when it goes up on the YouTube channel. We've suggested to you how you're going to attract members to your club very specifically through the various channels that you use, the messaging that you use on those channels, connecting directly with people who interact on those channels, either through cold calling or using the direct messaging that is available on those platforms, then how the guest is received and introduced to the relevant people at a club, what you do to offer value to the member when they arrive at the club, and to ensure that that club member, that guest feels that they've been properly handed over to the vice president membership, that the vice president membership will assist them with all their questions and to enroll in the club if that is their next step. We've had a look at how you create the atmosphere in your club through the messaging that you as Vice President Public Relations are responsible for that will more easily convert a guest into a member. We've looked at very specific communication sequences that Lucinda's just shared with you. So now we want to move on. We want to move on from the guest to the member that you already have. We're coming to a very important part of the year. We're coming up to the time where we're going to invoice our members for the semi-annual dues, and we want to retain those members. So how do we set about retaining those members? Because the first thing that you're going to say to yourself, well, it's not my job. The treasurer is going to send out the invoices. But are you as Vice President Public Relations comfortable that your treasurer is going to include messaging in that invoice that connects with the member, their goals, their past achievements, and going to make them feel that they want to continue on this journey? Or you're going to say, well, that's not my job. It's the job of the Vice President membership. They look after the members. Lucinda and I want to share with you a little bit more about how messaging is important in retaining our members. So the first thing that we'd like to talk a little bit about is ensuring that your members continue to feel that they're part of a club that is a family to them. So they're achieving their goals, they're achieving recognition, and they must continue to feel connected with the atmosphere, with the energy of that club in a way that they want to continue the journey. Lucinda, do you want to add something there?
I think recognition is really important. I think because we're online now, we might just not be doing it the way we did face-to-face. I think it's really important. We think we don't want screenshots of, computers, and no, you've got to do this. we need to get over this, because this lockdown's not just going to run away. We need to be working with the system and learning how to be successful online. And it's really, really important. If I look at corporate and ask somebody, if I can give you a lot of money or I can give you recognition, which one do you want? The money or the box? Recognition, or would you like the money, the raise? I tell you now, it's something like 80%. If you go and do the trial, go look at the tests that have been done. People choose recognition. Now, this is something that Toastmasters does effectively, because in life, in your life, other people's lives, so often we don't say thank you. We don't applaud, we don't acknowledge, we don't recognize enough. And Toastmasters, your fraternity, your family, is a place where it does happen. Now, for that person, sometimes member coming in, they've never been in a newspaper. No one's ever written a huge big thing, even on Facebook for them. And suddenly they see in one of the newspapers, somewhere, Facebook, you've tagged them. And on their Facebook page, something happens. Even you send an email in your club to one of your members, you send it to their management. In corporate, this works very well. In your community clubs, it can work out as well. In a university club, you could send it to the lecturers or the deacon or whatever. Also, you could do it in that way. You can send that as emails of recognition to the important people. You can acknowledge that person by tagging them on Facebook page, on your page. You can put them in the newspaper, say, look what this person's done. Contest time is coming up. It's perfect time to go raw and really make a noise and make the people feel special. Because if people really feel that they're important and they're special and they matter, they are not going to give it up. If this is their bloodline for kind of the feel good and actually feeling like their life's going somewhere and they're learning and they're growing, they'll never give it up. Not ever. So I really put a lot of emphasis as a VPPR on acknowledging, even in the corporate game, those IT boards went back to face, on the Google Drive, on whatever form, intranet. Put the acknowledgements even on those formats as well. So all the time you are, even the smallest of things, you might think some of us have been, we're older dogs, we've been down the track, we've got to DTM, whatever. Let's remember the first day we joined a club. Now, for that person that makes a table topic and wins a table topic, it can be minuscule in your mind. To that person, it might be the only time someone's acknowledged or recognized them in their life. And I often remember back to when I first walked in a meeting. I look back on Facebook, because it always gives you back your photos. And I look at like winning and getting a trophy because I won table topics or best speech. I thought I'd won $1 million. Now, I think we've got to go back to that and remember the day we became a Toastmaster. And remember when we walked in that room, what was that thing that made us feel really like we belonged? Why did we sign that line and say we wanted to become a member? Because people made us feel special. And the other thing is, I'm going to ask you one thing to pass on to your VPMs. And remember, in sales, ask for the sale. I have clubs that write to me from overseas saying, Lucinda is an exco, and they write it officially, we would like you to become a dual member at our club. And I go, well done. Like, you well done for saying you want me to be a member with you. Because often that's all it takes. The person's sitting scared, and they think maybe they don't want me, maybe they don't want me in the place. And actually, there it is right in front of you. Back to you, JP.
Thank you very much. When you feel part of a family, what does a family do for you? What kind of recognition does a family offer you? Do you, as Vice President, Public Relations, or from your Vice President membership, do you know the birth dates of all of your members? Do you recognize that in the Facebook group, the WhatsApp group, in the club meeting? Do you recognize people who've had a birthday in the last 2 weeks between meetings? Make a celebration. Make the people feel that they really are connected to this family, and that if they don't pay their dues and they fall out of the family, they're going to really be losing something that has been an important part of their life up until this point. Right. One of the other areas that members gain a lot of value is through the mentorship program that we have. Now, the mentorship program is not run by the Vice President Public Relations.
JP,
But the Vice President, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Remember,
we're down to like 4 minutes.
So we're going to take this into part 2.
Okay, I see 10 minutes on my clock, but yes, I'll wrap it up now.
Okay, yeah, we still need to do a closing and a photo session. And so I would like to invite both you and Lucinda to just have any closing statement, maximum 1.5 minutes each. And then, yeah, we're going to do a second round.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Lucinda, would you like to just comment on, very quickly on, give some closing comments?
If there's one thing that I did right today, or I did for this entire group that's here today, is that you fall in love with PR. Because I love PR. I'm passionate about PR. If I could every day, all day, every day, it just doesn't happen in my job, but I do it in my sales environment. It's really important to learn the art of engaging, the art of connecting, which Toastmasters teaches you, and be a proud Toastmaster. Go out there never fearing. Wear your badge. Look, JP's got his badge. I forgot my badges. They're in my car. I forget to wear them. We're online. Be out there and really wear the badge proudly and wear it well. And tell your story, because you know what? That other person might just need this education program more than you would ever think. And I always believe that I'm very glad that day that the lady walked in my life, which is DTM, and said what she did to me, because today I'm successful because I met her and because of all the people that have been part of my life in Toastmasters. And I would really say to you in life, be proud of this. It's an amazing education program. I can never be a big enough advocate of it. And I wish you all well. Know that I'm always a phone call. JP is a phone call away. Sometimes our other duties are very busy, but you're always welcome to pass something through, ask information. And I want to see, I'm looking at your messages. I want to see that PR page on Southern African Toastmasters group go on fire. I want to see your messages, and I want to send you a message and say, well done. You are on dot. Well done. You inspire me. Thank you so much. So by going out there and turning your clubs around is it. Thank you, JP.
Thank you, Lucinda. My final message to you is please remember that when you're speaking as Vice President Public Relations, you're speaking to a real person, a specific person. Craft your message always thinking about and visualizing the one person that you're speaking to, because out of that audience, you're speaking to one person. And when you connect with them, they'll connect with you and your message. Lucinda and I will be on the PR for Success WhatsApp group. Zakia, please take over the floor. We thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. I think Maud is going to come in quickly before I take over. Maud, are you coming in now? And in the meantime, if everybody can please switch your videos on so Avani can start taking pics. Maud, you're here. Take it.
It's been one of the more bumper masterclasses we've had in this program. I want to express gratitude to JP and Lucinda, as well as to Joanne in absentia, for such an amazing presentation on how we can use messaging to sell the benefits of Toastmasters. I know we didn't get an opportunity to get through everything, but Toastmasters, you'll be happy to know that we will be bringing this masterclass back as a 2.1, where you will have an opportunity this month until we meet again to deconstruct what you've learned today, play the video back, deconstruct it with your teams, take out what will work for your audience based on your unique value proposition, and implement. And you'll be happy to know that we will definitely bring it back. There's also a very exciting membership building opportunity where you can practice the skills that you've learned tonight. It is a membership building campaign. It starts on the 1st of February. It's called Talk Up Toastmasters, where if your club adds 5 new dual, which is a member who's a member of more than one club, reinstated, a member who was a member, left and now wants to come back, any 5 combination of that, if your club adds that between the 1st of February and the end of March, your club will get the recognition and be one of the clubs recognized having achieved the Talk Up Toastmasters Award. Please do look out for that on our social media platforms in the coming future. Toastmasters, the learning here never stops. We've got a very exciting workshop coming up 2 Mondays from now. It's called Secrets of Quality Clubs, where you can get to hear from members who will show us how to build top clubs and get the best out of Toastmasters in this Toastmasters year. The information is all on our social media pages, Southern Africa Toastmasters Group, but we will definitely share more of that in coming days. It's called Secrets of Quality Clubs. And last but finally not least, I want to say, Toastmasters, it's never too late to course correct as a club. If your club is not where it wants to be from a membership point of view, do not fear. They always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So I hope you found this masterclass to be very useful, very insightful. The conversation continues on our social media pages. I will drop a link to the dedicated PR for Success WhatsApp group. Let's deconstruct, let's learn, let's ask questions in the coming months, so that when we bring the session back in February, we will be able to take our learnings to a 2.1 level. Back to you, Zakia.
Thank you, Maud. Okay, Afani, are you ready to take photos?
Ready and waiting.
Okay, so one of the things we're going to do in our photos now is we're going to provide, so we can unmute yourselves, and a huge round of applause to Lucinda and JP and Joanne, who wasn't here, but who I can tell you was up burning the midnight oil most nights this week with JP and Lucinda to refine and provide this amazing, amazing session. So while videos are on, mute off. Can we unmute now? Are we allowed to unmute, Afani?
Hold on.
Right. Once we have permissions.
Yes, everybody's ready.
Unmute ourselves, and yay, thank you, Lucinda, JP, Joanne. This was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Afani is going to take photos. It's multiple screens, so you have to smile till he tells us to stop smiling.
Oh no, we're sorted.
Oh, we're done.
We're done.
Yo, okay. Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, this is excellent.
Thank you.
I want to just say quickly to mention to everybody. Pleasure. Can I have the floor back, please? Thank you. I want to mention, first of all, acknowledge our production manager who makes our lives really, really easy and provides a seamless, fast-flowing experience. So, Afani, lift your hands up so everybody knows who you are. It's Toastmasters District 74. There we go. Also, I wanted to let you all in on the secret. And that is the secret to these amazing sessions, is that our facilitators, they bring their love, their commitment, their time, their energy. And I can tell you, because I sit in on those groups, that they have been working endlessly, late into the night, refining and revising and recreating and reimagining. I can't tell you how much of work went into the session. And I can't tell you how grateful I feel as a program development for PR success, how grateful I am to have this kind of caliber of facilitators in District 74 who make themselves available. So Gail is still here. Gail has been doing that in the last session. JP, Lucinda, Joanne, thank you all so much. We will be back with JP, Lucinda, and Joanne. Load shedding schedules, we hope, will be gone by then. And we're going to continue with this session and build on it. With that, I'd like to say, Afani, you can play your video, and thank you all for being here tonight. We'll see you on the 20th of Feb, I think. Good night.
Public relations, a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between clubs, their members, and the public. The PR for Success is designed to help you do that with impact and towards excellence.
One masterclass a month, each focused on a different aspect of public relations and geared towards immediate implementation of skills, with a WhatsApp group that provides a supportive space. Some of the things that you will learn are the power of the Toastmasters brand and effective use of the PR toolkit. What about designing ads that wow? And creating and implementing a social media plan with effective use of the media. The PR for Success program, designed for VPPRs but open to all members and designed to help you take your PR skills to the next level. Are you ready?